But anyway, let's get to this final story, which is all about Elliott with two T's. Now, I told y'all, see, now y'all know I don't be lying when I be telling y'all stuff because I told y'all weeks ago that there was a Elliott with two T's exclusive interview with Joseph Shepard. And yesterday, to my surprise, when I got on social media, it dropped. The interview came out. I had to pull up this picture because my friend David laughed at the photo. So shout out to him. I know right now he's doing a little something, something with Pangina. You know, Pangina has a show, a food show that is on Wow Presents Plus. He's actually working on that right now. We had a long talk today because we was talking about the whole Ellie with two T's thing. I said, guess what? I watched the video. He was like, hey, what were your thoughts? Because I want to give him credit. He was the one that basically reached out to Joseph Shepard because they worked with each other on some stuff. And he was like, um, you should do an interview with him because, you know, all these people have been saying so much stuff about you. There's been this crazy narrative about you over the years, and this should be the opportunity for you to really set the record straight. So they sat down, they did the interview. I do have a clip of one of the things that they talked about, and that would be the one where Candy and Simone had said that she had said some kind of stuff, you know, allegations or whatever the case is, you know, of, you know, racism stuff behind the scenes on Drag Race. So shout out to Out Magazine who put this the package all together. But I actually had the video because I watched it as soon as I got off the live. I saw like it was up. I was like, oh, here we go. And then Felix, if you're still in the building, he messaged me and was like, I don't know if you watched it, but here's the Elliott video. So he spilled all the tea following their run on season 13, and things got a little messy. So it says the aftermath of the Queen's appearance on Drag Race was littered with controversy after some of her fellow castmates hinted at her being racist and transphobic toward them on the show, which landed her with the moniker Elliott with 3Ks. Throughout it all, Elliott had remained tight-lipped, but over 3 years after her season premiered, she opened up on the latest episode of Exposed with Joseph Shepard. The two even went as far as to watch clips of other queens talking about her and read the controversy section of her Wikipedia page, and Elliott specifically responded to each comment, which I actually liked that they were not afraid to answer all the questions and stuff. So sitting at an hour and 7 minutes, the interview was littered with gag-worthy moments and quotes from Elliott. Here are a few of the most shocking. He said, I didn't have a whole team to help me. The shade kicked off early in the interview when Elliott discussed her audition tapes for the show. Unlike some of the other girls of the show, Elliott didn't have a whole team to help me. Her submission was much more DIY, and she shares how much of an outsider she's always felt in various drag communities. I really said I had a really long FaceTime with Bob. Now Shepard played a clip of Elliott discussing Simone's drag and commending her for not being overly aggressive, which was the kickoff point for the racist accusations. Because when you say overly aggressive or ratchet or whatever the case is, they feel like that's a microaggression. So she said that they had a long FaceTime with fellow Drag Race alum Bob the Drag Queen. So Roberts kind of broke it down and also told me why it was upsetting and why it could be offensive to someone. I wish that was the reaction I would have gotten instead of, you know, trying to just take me down. I would have loved because I would know how would I have known that could have been upsetting to someone. That my biggest fear is upsetting people and making people uncomfortable. So I wish that I could have gotten that response to, hey, this is what this means, but I didn't know. And so I took it upon myself to reach out to a girlfriend of mine who's very close friends with the director of NAACP in Las Vegas. And we did like an hour video of her explaining to me what it could mean to people and why it could be upsetting. And I was trying to fix it. I was trying my best to make things better. But I think when people were so passionate about something like the Drag Race fans, once they've committed their heart and soul to something, there's just no changing it. And so I did love the fact that in the beginning of the show, Joseph was like, this is not a place for hate. Like you can give your opinion, you can have a difference of opinion, but you don't need to come in and be a damn hater. So I didn't read the comments, but my friend did tell me that he liked the fact that there was a mixture of, you know, positive and negative comments, but people were, for the most part, respectful. And I feel like in that comment or whatever that he meant is that, yeah, I feel like, there's some people that get upset when it's like, oh, yeah, if you say certain words that are considered microaggression, but why do we have to sit and explain stuff all the time? I'm like, well, guess what? Welcome to the real fucking world. We unfortunately always have to explain stuff to people who have never experienced the things that we as people of color have experienced. Even if you're a part of the LGBTQ LMNOP community, we experience our own phobias from our own. So it's like, yeah, if you say something that comes across as transphobic and you trying to just be it, oh, it's just me being funny or whatever the case is. First of all, this is why I don't joke with people that I'm not close friends with. Like if I say a word, like if I say the tranny word, and then with my friends, they get it because it's like we're bantering. Oh, she go, hey, faggot, and whatever. And it's like, it's a banter amongst ourselves. But anybody outside of my little circle of friends and bubble where we kiki in a way where we understand that we're bantering amongst each other, I don't do that with outsiders because they could try to use that against you, or they could use that in a way where they're trying to put you down or trying to be like, oh, they need to be canceled, or they're a racist, or they're transphobic. And my thing also, when she was talking about with Got Mick, that she goes on that totally gorge show, and she's saying stuff that, oh, well, Elliott went, well, she didn't mention no names, and she blurted out, but Candy decided to take it upon herself to go, it's Elliott. And it's like, bitch, nobody asked you. But it also felt like to me that Candy was using these opportunities to always try to find a reason to piggyback off of the controversy to go against Elliott because she apparently didn't like her. So we do have that clip that I want to show y'all of her. I mean, of the whole controversy surrounding like the comments that she made about Simone's outfit and all the other stuff. And then we'll come back and break down the rest of the interview. Please hold.
Well, let's go into your Wikipedia page because there is a controversy section that I want to start reading, and let's just go by it bullet by bullet. Elliott attracted criticism in January 2021 for describing RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13 winner Simone's drag as Black Girl Magic. That is what she brought, but she did it so eloquently. It wasn't aggressive. It was done with taste. Her remark was accused of being racially insensitive, drawing criticism from the likes of Jada Essence Hall and Candy Muse. I want to play you what was said, and I want to have your reaction to those moments.
Around the start of the season, Elliott got into some hot water, we'll say, for a video where she called Simone your fashion. She said that she liked that your fashion wasn't, quote, aggressive. And she got a lot of flack for that, of people calling her out for a microaggression. Can you walk us through your feelings on that video and the fallout from that and her saying that?
Well, God, where do I go with this? How do I start this? I know what type of person that Elliott is. I know the type of mindset that she has. I'm from the South. We're both from the South. So I know exactly what she was saying when she said that. And it is in a way offensive because my art is my art, and it shouldn't matter if it was aggressive the entire time. Like, none of that matters. It was my art. And for you to say that type of mindset, those types of words, those types of microaggressions are literally what leads to what happened this summer with George Floyd. So my feelings are, at first I wasn't taken aback by, because I was like, oh, maybe she misspoke. But then what really got me was her going online and defending it and saying she was complimenting me. And when people were trying to explain to her what was going on, she still didn't want to hear it or receive it. So at that point, it's kind of like, I'm done. I wish you the best. I really don't have anything against you, as far as I don't wish any ill will against you. But if you're not going to learn anything from it, if you're not going to try to understand what's going on, then there's really nothing I can say or do feel there's really no moving forward for me personally. So I just hope that she one day does get to, there's a place of understanding, because that's some real shit. And those types of things that you say, those little views that people sprout in their head, that leads to more harm to people that look like me, or that look like Candy, or that look like Olivia. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I wish the girl well. I don't have any malice against her, but it's ignorance, and you know, you can't really reason with that. So those are my thoughts.
Andy, you had also mentioned that there were other microaggressions maybe going on with Elliott during filming. Can you speak more to that, and if that was something that was brought up during filming of the show in the workroom to her?
I think people know that I was very vocal about the way Elliott acted on set certain times off camera. I think people thought, oh, well, why is Drag Race editing these things out? A lot of things weren't said on camera, and it's not Drag Race's fault. A lot of things were done off camera, and I've been very vocal about it, about the microaggressions. And since filming, in our season 13 group chat, I've given her opportunities to apologize, and I've given her opportunities to talk about it. And the only thing I got in return was a block on all social media. So, you know, you can apologize on Twitter and all you want, but it just seems very performative to me, because if you don't have the decency and the audacity to apologize to your cast members that you have offended, then your apologies mean nothing to me. And like I said, I don't wish her any ill will, and I don't want people to bully her online, and because I know how that felt being attacked. But at the same time, if you're not going to learn from the mistakes that you did, then what is the point of you going on a video with the president of the NAACP?
Yeah. What was
there are just many things that just seem very performative to me. And it's just like, well, girl, you've offended your fans.
Not even just it's performative, and there's a lack of accountability. Right. So where are we supposed to go? And then and to me, you're trying to have people come in and cover for you for what you said. What you said is what you said. That doesn't change any of that. And it doesn't, and you're not taking accountability for it. So then where are we supposed to go? What am I supposed to say to you?
You know, and the funny part about this whole situation is that throughout the entire season, I got called, by the fans, I got called a liar, because they were like, oh, well, Candy, you're the only one saying this. Why isn't anyone else speaking up? Well, you know what? Because it's not anyone else's job to speak up. Me as a person of color, there's no reason for you to need proof of what I'm saying is true or not.
Yeah.
It's like I said, if you don't take accountability, then there's no point of apologizing, because you're not changing and you're not going from what you did. So it is what it is.
Hearing that, did you hear that before? Have you heard that before?
No. I haven't heard that before. And what's really upsetting and hurtful about that is the fact that Simone says that she understands what I said and how it was misinterpreted. But then with the lack of communication, she then started to think that it was what it was, when she clearly said it wasn't, and she knew it wasn't. I texted her many times after the fact, trying to connect with her and trying to have some understanding and some closure about that. And she never responded. And I was trying to do the right thing. If she wasn't going to respond to me, then I have to seek outside help to try to understand why what was said was upsetting. I mean, it's really hurtful to hear that, because again, when we all got together to film the promos, because they always film the promos after the season wraps, everyone was in my hotel room because they knew I had vodka, and everybody was friends and wanted to, drink with me and whatnot. But if they were so hurt and upset by things that were said or done during the season, why would they want to spend time with me? Why would they want to be my friend? Like, were they just using me? And then whenever it was convenient, they were going to go and trash me online. It just...
Okay. So I want to leave it there, because then otherwise we'd be here for the whole hour, because I felt like that was just enough. It's like, yeah, with them saying all of that. And here's the thing. The reason why I played that clip is because I had heard this very same story that she said, that why is it that, oh yeah, I had alcohol and all of a sudden they were using me because it was convenient for whatever it was that they needed. I had heard this before, even before she even mentioned it on Joseph Shepard's show, among other things, where she also gets into the whole thing about Gottmik and saying that, oh, she said some transphobic stuff, but yeah, Gottmik did not mention her name, but what was it? Candy took it upon herself to bring it up on the show. And I mean, bring it up on social media. And then there was another incident where they mentioned that Tamisha Iman, because she said that them two had become close friends. And remember, Tamisha and Candy got into it infamously on the show, where there was even bitch tracks made from both of them, from their back and forth argument. From my friend Mitch Farino, he's the one that did the song. with Tamisha and all them. But anyway, so he went. So then, you know, with that whole back and forth thing, Tamisha went and got online and defended Elliott to where Candy felt the need to jump online and do her own IG video where she wanted to debunk everything else. So it's just sort of like, okay, so what is the point of that? We get it. Like, y'all were mentioning these things and y'all were saying that Elliott was this problematic on set. And if she was, then you have a right to call her out. But why, whenever somebody else comes and says, oh, this was not my experience with her, you need to come and be the counter to what this other person said? It's like you were deliberately going out of your way to go against this girl or to really make her out to be this person. And she did say, oh, I don't want her to get bullied and all this other stuff. And I think this is what she also goes on to say in the video, that, oh, you didn't want me to be bullied by the fandom, but you kept putting yourself in situations where I ended up getting bullied by you constantly getting on social media and bashing me. And so I was saying, like, you know what? To me, there were parts of the video where I was like, girl, the way they were saying, like, oh, I had to call the NAACP because I would try to call you and I would text you and I would try to get, you know, if I had come at you in a negative way, which she was saying to Simone or whatever, or Candy. She said she blocked Candy because of the whole bully situation. And then with Simone, she's like, I tried to reach out to her, but she never got back to me. So how am I supposed to get the feedback and the change in so many situations if I can't get a hold of you and talk this out? But then when there would be situations where I would go and be at events, talk about God Mick now, that, hey girl, how you doing? All this, you know how they do. And then you get on your show, No Gorge, with, you know, your co-host, Violet Chachki, and you starting to say all this stuff. Trinity the Tuck did that same shit a couple of weeks ago, where she got on Sibling Rivalry and decided to all of a sudden out of the blue come at her in a negative way, talking about, oh, it gave me the heebie-jeebies, whatever the case was. But then, according to Elliott, she was, and this is not something that was said on the show. This is why I heard from somebody, and this came out of Elliott's mouth to a friend of mine. And she went and said, oh, well, but when I saw her and I went up to her because I was a fan, she was all gracious and nice, which seems to be an ongoing theme that a lot of these queens, and not just queens, but people in this industry, that's why I keep saying there's a lot of fake motherfuckers in this damn industry. When y'all sit up here, give the whole Hollywood hubby, lovey-dovey, kissy, all that bullshit, and then because y'all want a moment and y'all want to go viral because everybody got a damn podcast. At this point, I be saying that because y'all want a moment on y'all shows. Now all of a sudden, I'm problematic. I'm giving you the heebie-jeebies. I give you the ick, but you ain't had that energy when you see me up in the club. So yeah, there was that. And I was like, you know what? So this is why y'all need to say it like you mean it. If somebody says something offensive, I've always been that way. If somebody says something that is racist, transphobic, homophobic, whatever the case is, I call them out. I've done that before where I've had to call people out on, you know, the bigoted things they said. I don't know if I told y'all this story. Maybe I have, but if you knew, I'm gonna repeat myself. One time when I was in the circus, there was this white kid that was friends with these biracial kids. And their mother also worked there. She was a white woman, but, you know, they're racially ambiguous, whatever the case was. White boy saying an N-word. And I said to him, do not say that in my presence. Well, so-and-so gave me permission. So I don't give a fuck who told you. You will not say that in my presence. So I've always been somebody to speak up. You will not get around and saying that word like it's just water off a duck's back. Or like it's just some regular word that you say in your vernacular or, you know, throughout the day. You don't have the right to be dropping that word. I don't care if we reclaimed it. Yeah, we people of color have reclaimed it. We reclaimed our time and that word, but you don't get to say it. So that's what I feel like what was on that. But of course, because we got to continue on with the rest of the tea from the thing. You know, she said you could be ignorant, but it also doesn't make you a bad person. She admitted that she made mistakes and she wished she was given more grace and understanding rather than condemnation. Said you could absolutely be, you know, I don't want to say uneducated, but uneducated. You cannot know what you're saying and how it affects people, but I also think it's important for people to react a certain way. I mean, I can't tell anyone how to react, especially when it comes to emotions, but I think we should all give each other a little more grace because everyone makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And to me, based on what I got off that interview, I just felt like Elliott is somebody who's a people pleaser and has for all her, you know, I mean, she's reiterated this so many times in the interview that she tried to make friends, and then I guess maybe the way it comes across is that the way she comes across, maybe she comes across as a tryhard, and people see through it, and they feel like, oh, she's so corny, or she's a tryhard, and I don't like that, and it rubs me the wrong way. Like some people are just like that, and she just doesn't know how to just be herself. The anxiety, all other stuff. Like some people are like that. Some people are weird in that way, where it's just like they don't know how to just relax and just be, or how to just make friends. Some people have a hard time making friends. But the one thing that I was like, man, this is not sitting right to me. I mean, with me, people thought that she was a Republican and she was a supporter of Donald Trump because um, a friend of hers got her a private car to take her to Vegas, and the license plate said Trump or whatever on it. And she said her friend paid for it. It was her first time in Vegas. And she was just so happy because it was a fancy weekend. The friend paid for it, whatever the case was. And she just went along with it. So I don't know what the timeline is. Not that I'm excusing the behavior, but I don't know if there's the timeline before Trump was who he is today. And that sort of thing. That doesn't excuse it. But people need to also realize that, yeah, at the time, a lot of people was out here supporting Trump. Remember, he was all over TV with The Apprentice and all that other stuff, and people looked the other way when it came to his problematic shit until he decided to get into politics. And then, we started to see his, he don't care about these damn people. We see what it is. He's trying to cause this divide. He's a racist, all this other stuff, and he is. Because when people like Amber Rose go out here and say he's not a racist, when there's a whole plethora of things throughout the decades, even before I was born, where he's done anti-black stuff against people, even to the point of trying to he wanted to took a whole full page ad in the paper to have those Central Park Five put to death. Now that ain't racism. And then denying people the ability to rent in one of his buildings. Then she got in trouble because she went and made a comment about Caitlyn Jenner and dead named her. Because, the Vanity Fair cover, which I think she said, go off Bruce or something or another. But then again, I'd be like, when you a pick me for the community, right? When you somebody that goes against the LGBTQ community and you pandering to the Trumpers, the Republican types or whatever, the ones that actually want to do harm to us because it's not going to affect you. You got money and you're of a higher class, so you're not going to be affected by the things that's going to affect us who are a part of the LGBTQ spectrum. Does that affect, it's not going to affect you. So you can go off and be the coon for the LGBTQ community. So is it wrong to dead name somebody who was basically a pick me for the other side but just that identifies as trans? Why do we have to give them grace? They don't give us grace. But why do we always have to do that when they go low, we go high shit? Like, I'm petty in that way. But that don't make me transphobic. I'm just saying that not everybody, we're not all a monolith. It's just like if there was some gays that was, these log cabin Republicans, or these gays out here that are, a Trumper, or want to, or just like a pick me for them people who don't give a damn, who wouldn't spit on your ass if you was on fire, but you looking for acceptance. I'm gonna cuss your ass out too and call you all the derogatory shit. So she said, this is from so many years ago. This is like 10 years ago, and I would have never known how to react to this. 10 years ago, I was like a teenager. I think everybody, when they're teenagers, say stupid things. I would have never known what dead naming was 10 years ago. I would have never known that. I mean, we're on a farm. Am I going to get that information? Was there no internet 10 years ago? It was never at a time where we were talking so openly about trans rights and verbiage. And it just was something stupid. I mean, nobody likes the Kardashians. Well, that's a fact. So I thought I was just playing off the dumb Kardashian situation. But I mean, I never would have ever want anyone to think that I was transphobic. I mean, this is stupid, and I can absolutely see that, but it was stupid teenager stuff. I mean, my sister-in-law is trans, and she comes to our house maybe once a month in Portland. It is not something that I would never do to somebody, but then again, didn't understand it. I really didn't understand it. I was just a stupid teenager stuff online. That part did kind of make me cringe because it came across like when you said, my sister-in-law is trans, that feels very like some of my best friends are black when you're a white person. So that kind of did like, oh no, you're not really convincing me with that. I just feel like, you know what? Just say that I'm a product of my upbringing. I came from a small town. We say a lot of bigoted shit. Now you're a fish out of water, moving to a big city, where there's a lot more diversity, and you're not just being around white, cisgendered, straight folk. And this is the product of that now. So, or then when you know better, you do better. So I think at the end of the day, people just wanted you to take accountability. Then there was a whole thing about the black Barbie doll saying that she didn't want no black Barbie. That no, they should never make a black Barbie. She got in trouble with that. She did answer it and said basically it was, she was doing it for shock value and realized that it's insensitive and compared herself to a comedian. But I think a lot of times people forget that you're not a comedian. So, it goes on and on. This is it's a lot. She she covered a lot. She talked about how she lost childhood friends because of all the vitriol online, where people basically came at her in a lot of ways over some of the stuff that she said. But I'm gonna just read the Got Mick thing, and then we can get off this because I feel like I've been spending way too much time on this thing because it's a whole break now. So Shepard played a clip of Violet Chachki and Got Mick discussing a cast member who said transphobic things. Candy Muse responded to the clip on TikTok commenting, "It's Elliott." This is what I was telling you about before. He directly asked Elliott. He said the transphobic slur when talking to Got Mick. She said, "I would never say that." She said, "Then again, I knew none of this. Got Mick never once said to me, 'Hey, I don't want to talk about that,' or 'I'm uncomfortable.' I knew none of this until this interview came out." So that was like a year later. So you're just holding on to that for like a year. I just don't know about it. Or I just didn't know about it. It was shocking to me because I thought that I had these bonding moments with Got Mick and that we had gotten to know each other. And I was in total shock about that because I truly felt like, excuse me, we were becoming friendly with each other. She also said, "I couldn't believe that." And then when even Violet says, "Is she just stupid and doesn't realize what she's saying?" If that were the case, but how would I know if I were making someone uncomfortable? Like, if you're smiling and continue to talk to me, how do I know if I'm making someone uncomfortable? I would never want to make someone uncomfortable. It's just one of those weird situations where, sure, it shouldn't be Got Mick's job to police me in what I say, but also, how do I know if I'm upsetting someone if you don't say anything to me? Elliott added that after the podcast premiered, she reached out to Got Mick, who responded, "I thought we were good," and said, there was no point, rhyme or reason to what he was saying. It was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that." Like, it's just, I didn't have any genuine concern or care about how it would affect me. I mean, when you're in the top 4 and you're a fan favorite on the show, you don't really think about the other girls, especially when you have as many followers as they have and say things like that. They don't realize that there's an army of Drag Race fans that are gonna go and attack that person. And this they do realize that, yeah, when you are a person in a higher position, that is something that you're going to get. But I always say that, who knows, maybe God make us someone who's non-confrontational. Like, there's people that are like that. And it's like, yeah, but I feel like at the end of the day, sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, regardless of your level of comfort or discomfort. And it's like, if you feel a certain way about something and somebody says something in a way that affects you and hurts your feelings, speak up. Because otherwise, how are people going to know that what they're saying is offensive? Because, like I said before, like when it comes to certain friends of mine, I joke around and we use slurs and all those other things against each other, and that's our comfort level. There are some people that don't. That if you're not for it, let me know, and it's like, okay, I won't say that ever again, because I've done that with people. Where it's like, you don't know me well enough to even use that term or that phrase with me. But if we have a comfort level where we could just say inappropriate shit with each other, then we do that amongst each other. But yeah, you can't be going around just if what they said was true, then you can't be using the T word or the F word or whatever case is, because it all depends, like I said, on people's comfort level. So if y'all have not seen that full episode of Joseph Shepard's, show, definitely check that out on his website, the Exposed episode. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he spoke out. It's gotten how many 19K views so far in a day. So And this is from his fourth season doing that. So shout out to Joseph. And I heard some tea too. So child, word on the curb is this is new inside tea because like I broke the story about y'all. Like y'all knew for weeks that this Elliott with 2 T's exposed episode was coming. Word on the street is when y'all go to DragCon, Mama Rue is doing meet and greets again. And she ain't did that since before the pandemic. But you ain't hear that from me. But anyway, if y'all saw the episode, good, bad, or indifferent, let me know what y'all. I would play more clips, but like I said, this whole segment probably would have went on for an hour. But let me know. Just definitely check out the episode. It's definitely a must watch. And let me know what y'all thought of the episode in the comments down below.